This is PIX on Politics Daily with Dan Mannarino.
Hey everyone, it is Wednesday, September 17th. I'm Dan Mannarino. Welcome to PIX on Politics Daily. Hopefully, you're all having a fantastic day. Big news in the race for mayor today. Zohran Mamdani receiving a key endorsement from a top Democrat that people have been wondering when the Assembly Speaker, Carl Hastie of New York State Assembly, top-ranking Democrat in the state of New York, when or if he was going to endorse. And he did it this morning, 9:30 in the morning, had a press conference side by side with Zohran Mamdani, saying that he knew all along he was going to endorse. In fact, he says he was one of the first people who knew Zohran Mamdani was even running for mayor because it was a conversation that he had with the assemblyman prior to him announcing that he was actually running for mayor. So that is a key endorsement for Zohran Mamdani in the race for New York City mayor. In the meantime, just about 2 weeks ago, I spoke to a candidate for Congress. His name was Liam Elkind, and he is now running for New York 12 to replace Jerry Nadler. And Jerry Nadler, as you know, has said that he will not run for re-election at the end of his term, that it's time to usher in a wave of new people to Congress. He says he heard Joe Biden's message when he says that he was stepping down to not run for president, and he said I should follow the same suit. So Liam Elkind is the only person declared right now, 26-year-old guy who says he wants to run for that seat. And it was a full conversation now posted on PIX11.com. But our Henry Rosoff actually spoke one-on-one with Jerry Nadler about the decision, about the mayor's race. Here's their conversation.
Hi, Mr. Nadler. Thank you so much for joining us here. I appreciate you taking the time.
You're quite welcome.
So let's talk about Mr. Mamdani. The big news, of course, this week is that Governor Kathy Hochul, a couple of months after the primary, finally decided to endorse the Democratic nominee for mayor. I'll start with your thoughts about that decision and Democratic leadership at large slowly coming around to Mr. Mamdani.
Well, I think the governor endorsed him for the same reasons that I endorsed him, I assume. First of all, he is the Democratic nominee. Second of all, he's talking about the quintessentially Democratic issues of affordability for housing, free buses, and other affordability issues. And the other thing is that what's the alternative? The alternatives are number one, Adams, who's a crook, and Cuomo, who I demanded resign a few years ago because of sexual improprieties. So for all these reasons, I don't think there's any choice but to support Mamdani.
What about past controversial statements? And I only ask not to really sort of needle at your decision or the governor's decision, but because that's what Senator Schumer and House Minority Leader Jeffries point to when they are still being hesitant. How did you personally get beyond perhaps any concerns you had about his position relative to Israel or his positions and past statements on policing? How did you personally address and come to square with those issues?
Well, first of all, he supports the police. He has said something that I've long espoused, which is that we should have a different group of people, in addition to the police, to respond to mental health calls in the subways or others, and have to lead the police to policing. With respect to Israel, he's made critical comments about Israel. I am very critical about Israel now. I've always been a strong supporter of Israel, but currently what Israel is doing under Netanyahu is unforgivable. I've called Netanyahu publicly the worst Jewish leader in 2,000 years. And they're committing war crimes and mass murder. I don't call it genocide because they're not attempting to eliminate an entire people, but what they are doing is insupportable.
Where are conversations at on the Hill with other top Democrats? And not to keep going back to the same two names, but have you spoken with Leader Jeffries recently? Have you spoken with Mr. Schumer lately?
I have not, so I can't answer that question.
And what about other leaders in the New York congressional delegation? I mean, I feel like I hear Long Island reps lining up to hit Mr. Mamdani for this and that, but
I think most of the New York City delegation has endorsed him.
Mm-hmm. But what about upstate and Long Island and all those other folks?
Well, first of all, upstate and Long Island people normally don't endorse in Democratic or any in New York City elections. Pat Ryan did endorse. Got a lot of people who work here, but normally people from outside the city don't endorse in city elections.
And what I hear you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this is sort of an existential threat moment. Not only is he talking about the lead issue, which is affordability, but I know that you and all other Democrats have these very deep concerns about Mr. Trump, and now is the time for
Yes.
unity. Am I understanding correctly?
No, I should have mentioned that. He will be a strong leader against Trump. Trump is trying to establish fascism in this country, and he's doing it very rapidly. And we need strong leaders at every level, and I think Mamdani will be such.
Let's move on to talking about your decision to retire, taking a step back, because we at PIX 11 haven't touched base with you since that decision. I walk us through, and you've made some comments about this already, I understand that, but walk us through your decision to hang it up after so many dedicated years of good public service to the people of New York.
Well, three things. Number one, at the end of next year, I will have served an even 50 years in public service in either in the state assembly or the House of Representatives. Number two, I'll be 79 years old, and this will give me an opportunity still to do something else, and I'm not sure what yet, but I'm sure I'll figure something out. And number three, there is something to be said for generational change in the party. The problem with Biden got me thinking about that, and I thought that that my doing that would help with that.
Is Mr. Lasher most suited to succeed you?
I like Micah very much, and I will make an endorsement, but I'm not going to endorse and but I'm not going to announce an endorsement today.
In this race to succeed you, do you expect it to get? I mean, your district, since redistricting, and we were with you at that point when you won the race against Ms. Maloney, is basically Midtown at this point. A lot more than that, but it's Midtown. There's a lot of
14th Street to 114th Street, basically.
Yeah, and around the park, of course. But there are a lot of interesting, different people that live in the district. Do you expect this to turn into a unique contest where people really come out of the woodwork, or is this going to be, serious lawmakers such as Mr. Lasher or maybe even Mr. Botcher on the city council? Do you expect this to be this broad contest or this narrow contest of respected leaders?
Well, a number of city council members and state legislators on both sides of the park have announced interest. They will gauge support, and some of them will end up running and some not. There are other people. Jack Schlossberg has said he's thinking of running, and there may be others. I don't know.
What is your advice to your successor?
To my successor, fight Trump and fight the anti-democratic movement he's leading, and also his whole campaign as manifested through the big ugly bill, or big beautiful bill as he calls it, to strip health care from the American people, and as we saw in the lengthy article in the New York Times Magazine, to kill cancer research, which is crazy. So all of these things have to be opposed, and try to put the country back together again in more decent shape.
Well, thank you, Mr. Nadler, for this sort of wide-ranging conversation. Anything else you want to add in respect to Mr. Mamdani or in respect to your years of service?
Well, I think Mr. Mamdani, as I said, will win. I think he's going to be a fine mayor. He'll work with other people on issues of affordability. And I'll be interested in watching all this.
All right, great conversation there between Henry and Congressman Jerry Nadler. Our thanks to Jerry Nadler for his time. And that'll do it for Picks and Politics Daily, everybody. I'm Dan Mannarino. We'll see you back here tomorrow.